Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to 2 weeks before Easter and Daylight Saving Time Sunday. And I've been in training all week, to get here bright and early with my clothes on straight and everything, and it worked. I feel great. I hope you do too. So, this is a special time. No matter what time you're sitting down and bringing YouTube up on your computer, whatever you're using, we're beyond the actual temporal time and space thing. We touch in to the same vibration that our hearts are holding for this spiritual journey that is so sacred, I know, to each one of us. So, every week has its own little technology wrinkles. And today, for some reason, I usually print my notes up ahead of time, but I didn't print them when I was in the office. So I came in to print them, and the printer is offline and it won't print. So I'm using my cell phone to read my notes from. Hopefully my cell phone, it's fully charged, 100%, so it's good. But that's the predicament I'm in. So today's topic is finding your purpose. And last week I did suggest that you check out the YouTube video that this spiritual teacher in India who calls himself Sadhguru, and that doesn't have anything to do with sadness. It's just the title, SADH. So he has actually 2 videos specifically about finding your purpose. So if you check that out, maybe you got a little different angle on it. But for us today, this is a very kind of new agey approach that we're taking, whereas last week was very kind of out of the Christian tradition in which unity is rooted. Unity derives all our teachings from inception in biblical text. We put a different interpretation on it in terms of consciousness than is traditional. But today we're going on a little bit of a new age journey. So, you see, I believe that every soul brings into this incarnation its own intention, its own purpose, if you will. I believe that every incarnation is a continuation of that entity's that entity's unfoldment towards the full and complete spiritualization of itself. And in plain terms, that means learning to love to a greater and greater extent. And I learned all this from being in unity. These are the conversations that take place in our community as we try to come to terms with the meaning of our life purpose. Now, if we get sidetracked from our life path, from our original intention or purpose, it can cause us great distress. This book came out called The Indigo Children. And the theory is that it was observed that new souls were coming into their life embodiment with this kind of insistence that, I'm going to remember my life purpose that I decided on before I came into this life, and nobody's gonna knock me off of it. Nobody's going to influence me away from it. And so the behavior of these young children, they just did not accept authority. They just did not kowtow to the domination that is traditionally expected of children to their to their authority, to their parents. No, they were just like, you can't talk to me like that. I know what I'm going to do, and you can't interfere. It was really kind of refreshing because I always thought that's how we should be treating children anyway, respecting whatever they came in with as their intention and their purpose and their gifts that they offer to give. That's how we should be treating them anyway. But these children were insisting on it. I always thought this was why my daughter Becky embarrassed me. One time she was being examined by an orthodontist who said, after he examined her teeth, he said to me in the office while she's sitting in the dentist chair, well, she's going to need the full treatment, a headset and headgear, and it's going to take several years. And he described all these horrible things. And she got up out of the dentist chair, went outside to the yard, grabbed up two great big handfuls of grass, and came in and threw it on him. And as we're driving home, I said, why did you do that? She said, he talked about me like I wasn't even there. You know, she was like 9 years old. So that's the kind of thing that Indigo Children were doing back then. But evolution, I think, has moved forward, and they're not so hostile now. So how do we deal with this business of there being an agenda for your life? Well, first let's look at this from another perspective. From the idea of that we bring gifts or proclivities or already highly developed abilities with us from past lives. And an example of that, I think, would be Alexander Malafife. He's now 20 years old, maybe 21. He hasn't been able to get over here from Russia because of the pandemic, but he's a piano virtuoso. And he plays with such feeling, and he plays all the time. He said in an interview, I don't play in order to practice. I just play because that's how I think. And I was observing a video of him last week, and I was thinking how if he were an incarnation of a composer, you see, that would certainly make sense. And I was reading about Rossini, the composer of many operas, and Rossini was composing from the time of his early youth. And he just churned out composition after composition after composition. And it just seemed to me like that would be a perfect continuation of a life like that, to then become a piano virtuoso, to play these beautiful compositions for the world. Who knows? And these gifts may or may not be what we have contracted to do, because if we've developed highly developed a skill, and we feel like we've maxed it out, that may not be the purpose of a life incarnation. We may have the gift, but it may not be that's what our journey is about. I think for myself, one thing I've observed is how, I love ballet. I think that I have a history of ballet in my past lives because, for one thing, as a little girl, I was always going like this with my hands for no reason, like the ballet position of your hands. And then the first time I ever saw ballet was on television. And I immediately went and drew a picture of a ballet dancer in perfect proportion. Everything. I'd never seen ballet before in this life. But I think that I purposely chose to be incarnated into a body, but, I grew to be 5'11". You can't do ballet when you're that big. It doesn't fit into the lineup. It's just not. And I think I purposely chose that so that I wouldn't get distracted, because I didn't want to do dance in this life incarnation. I wanted to do service. So that's also something that's in play. So How do we get in touch with our soul's pre-incarnation plan? And is it the best choice for us, you see? So, first of all, I want to talk about what you might call the bigger picture, because when your soul is in between lifetimes, it has a greater sense of the whole journey that your soul is on, the ongoing journey of your soul unfoldment throughout lifetimes. So I think to that extent we can give credence, we can trust this intention that's been created, that we've created for ourselves, out of the bigger picture, you see, of our soul's journey. And this is something that I use at memorial services and funerals, especially when there seems to be unresolved feelings among family members and things. Is I try to make them aware that this person who has made their transition came to us to receive a gift from us and to give us a gift. And if we look at the experiences that have taken place in our lives and behold what gifts they were able to receive from you and what gifts you were able to receive from them, that gives you a real shift in terms of how it all fits together and what it all meant for you and for the deceased, for the person who's made their transition. If it wasn't fully accomplished, you can supply the rest of it when you think of it that way. And you can appreciate what was given and received in a family dynamic. It's a really very healing way to look at it. But the real question is, as I said before, how do we discover the blueprint? Well, first of all, stop saying that you don't know what it is. You know, every time you say something, you're impressing it into your subconscious. And when you say, I just don't know what my purpose is, you're affirming that you don't know. But you do know. And you are the only one who really does know. So abandon that position of feeling in unknowing. And don't say it. Don't affirm it. And then look at your life's journey through a new lens of, this is what I have chosen. And you can even add, and I like it. That's my own little therapeutic technique that I developed when we go on a long, long story about our complaints and our pains and our disappointments. And to conclude and say, and this is what happened to me, and I like it. Because it takes away the resistance and it empowers a person to embrace their experience. Loving what is, frees you to move on. But at the deepest levels of your being, you cannot miss your soul contract. It is what you are always doing at some level of consciousness. Isn't that incredible? It's like a spinning wheel inside you that spins straw into gold. It takes the raw material of your experience and systematically transforms it into what your soul contract has decreed. It's an alchemical process. It's a kind of alchemy that happens within each one of us because we have this time in the earth plane to grow in a way that we cannot grow anywhere else, to have the experiences that we need to master our skill and competence in our ability to love. But like Sadhguru has said, if you watch his videos, he says, I don't mean to make fun of him, but I can't help saying without doing his accent is, you don't want a purpose. Some of the greatest evils in the world have been done by people who had a purpose, and especially a God-given purpose. Do you realize, isn't that true? He makes the point that when we identify with a purpose, it becomes larger than the present moment. It sabotages us and puts us in a trap that robs us of our ability to experience life in the moment. And that is what happens when you get a purpose as an ego identity. That's not what we're talking about here. Okay. So be careful for that. Because it's also true that you have brought certain gifts and you have set yourself to receive certain life lessons and to complete these deep desires. You must be able to listen. You must be able to discern and to perform. You must be able to carry out and to follow through with your soul's ongoing unfoldment. Yeah. Otherwise one finds oneself in those feelings of despair and anxiety, feeling the loss of identity, feeling the loss of connection with the flow of your divinity and your true self. I have to say that at one point in my 20s, I was knocked off course by some unfortunate misunderstandings, and I really felt like I was not being true to my real purpose and to my deepest desires. And I had a couple of anxiety attacks that were just totally disabling. I couldn't even walk. So it can be very distressing to have the sense that you're not on course with your soul contract. So where do you find yourself? And I mean self with a capital S. Your divine self, your eternal self. In a sense, you look in the mirror. You look at yourself and remember across the afterlife, through the veil, reach into the veil of forgetfulness. Reach across the river of unknowing into what we call the afterlife, the pre-life, that realm of consciousness where your soul did not have a body yet, but it had the full recollection of its entire attainments, you might say. So remember across the veil of the afterlife and know that you do know. You do know what it is because you are the one who decreed it. And then be patient. Be patient with yourself. And be satisfied with only the slightest shred of information because an entire life can be discovered from only the smallest clue, only the tiniest shred of information. An entire life journey can be found. It's also true that you may have outgrown it. It may not have taken as long as you thought it was going to take for you to learn some vital lesson that you set yourself on course to learn, but then you completed it and you've outgrown it, and now you're looking for something else, something new, and that's entirely possible because there are no absolutes in spirit. There's only limitless, infinite freedom. Now, this brings me to this whole process of looking in the mirror to see beyond, to see your journey. You know, in the YOU, the Youth of Unity, our teenagers' activities, at their gatherings that are, beyond, many churches gather and they call them rallies, YOU rallies. And I've attended some of these as a sponsor. They have a chant that they do that just brings this all home, and it's so empowering. It's so clarifying what they do. And I'm going to sing it for you. I'm going to do it 6 times. If you can pick up on it and join in chanting it with me, it's beautiful. Or you can just listen, whatever. But it goes like this. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Never forget you. I will never forsake you. Take a break here. And they sit in a big circle with their arms around each other's shoulders and sway back and forth as they sing it. And they understand that they're not just singing it to each other, but to their own soul. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget. I will never forsake you. Last time. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. Listen, listen, listen to my heart song. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. I will never forget you. I will never forsake you. Bless you. See you soon.